Welcome back to another episode of Size Previews. As always, I'm Louis Matthews, joined by Chris Spins. Sit back, relax, let's get into it. So we're going to start the episode with looking at the SL82, but this time we've done a little bit of storytelling on it. So you've seen the prototype and the OG. Now I want to take you back to 1982. And we've explored many different things in the past, but we've never explored cars in this way. And what was the best-selling car in 1982?
Ford Escort. Well, when we, like Luke said, we usually look at music. We've said 1982 was music, films, fashion, all these kind of like big pop kind of culture moments we normally look at. And then for some reason we stumbled on about talking about cars, and this was like a pure nostalgia trip for us when it's like we come across a catalogue page from the Ford Escort that had these colours in, and we colour matched it exactly to this. Not only that, the materials we used are spot on as well, aren't they?
And we've tried to get this right so many times over the years, but it's been so difficult. But from a technique and an innovation perspective, we're finally able to execute really vibrant, bright colours on the suede. And I honestly, and we say this sometimes, but when you see this in person, you can't actually believe the colours we've actually managed to achieve on this.
Well, we know, because we've worked with it a lot. We've tried to get neons on shoes before. We've tried to get really bright colours on shoes before. And we've got a lot of like failed examples back over at HQ. But this time, just because of the materials used, it's perfect. Absolutely really good. Ideal for summertime, I'd say, late summer when they're going to be coming out. I mean, again, it's just this whole nostalgia thing. It just feels really right. Like you think about Haynes manuals, you think about all these other bits and pieces that go along with them cars. Kind of when I was growing up, I mean, you're a little bit younger than me, but when I was growing up anyway. So, I mean, and it just feels right.
Yeah, and I think just looking, like we always say, you take all the storytelling away from it on the shoe, on the shelf. Really nice execution, nice material mixed in there as well. And I think, like we've always said, it's got a really nice proportion to this shoe. When you've got it on, the toe down looks really good. I think the shape's spot on.
Yeah, I think that's important, mate, as well. I think once you get it on foot, you can see how good the shoe is. That's when it really kind of looks right, is when it's on your foot. You can see it, the toe down spot on and that. And I think people just need to go and pick it up and get hold of it in stores.
So next up, we've got a new project with Reebok, and what better way? I mean, when I think of Reebok, we always think of chalk, classic, vintage leather.
But you also always think Bolton.
So this pack, we're gonna dedicate to the iconic Silverwell Street. And I have to say, I was never, ever able to visit Silverwell Street, but I've explored it and I feel like I've been there whenever I've read about it online.
It's mental when you start digging down into it. The thing is, I've got a lot of friends from Bolton. And when I mentioned it to them, they were like, "Wow, honestly, like they were absolutely buzzing off it." They'd obviously been to the sports centre when it was open. It's a massive thing for that whole kind of like community in that town. It was like a hub or an epicentre like at one point.
Yeah, everybody you speak to is from Bolton. Sport almost all gravitated towards this iconic building, and it's like that's where the details come from in this shoe. So even the way we've put like the original tag you'd get maybe on your locker key or on the back of your neck in like your PE kit uniform. We always try and stay true to what the brand is. So we never take it too far in these real classic signature projects because we feel it needs to sort of stand for what the products are.
Well, it's all in the detail, and it's all in the detail with these shoes, and that's, like you said, we need to keep it classic, but we just need to ramp up the details. And I mean, like you say, you've already kind of called out some of the details. You've got the badge on the back of the shoe, and then within the tongue, even though it pitons me, because I'm from a rival northwest town that sits right next to Bolton, it says born in Bolton on the back of the tongue, which again is just a nice little touch. Even underneath the size kind of logo there, we've got how long the sports centre existed for. So again, classic shoes, but when you get hold of them, you start picking up on them details and that, and you start really reading into the storytelling behind them and looking at what the sports centre meant to Bolton and the people of Bolton. Going a bit deep here, but it makes it something else, doesn't it?
One thing I do want to say here, and I think this has gone under the radar a bit, and I think we definitely need to shine a light on it. This is actually a brand new classic leather for 2022. And when you compare this to the old classic leather silhouette, side by side, you'll see that literally everything's different. Nothing is the same with this. The proportions are perfect, materials have changed, every single detail has changed on this shoe. And I don't think enough people are actually talking about it because it's the perfect classic leather.
Like it's just really reminiscent of how classic leather used to look. Over the years, these shoes kind of that have existed for so long kind of morph into something else. So using different factories or different materials or whatever it might be over the years, and they kind of change shape gradually. But to get it back to how it was in its purest form is amazing as well.
Yeah, and it's underrated, and obviously it sits alongside LT Core, a new model we've seen come through, and I think for me it kind of straddles the boundaries of court, because for me it feels a little bit basketball in places, but then obviously from a profile perspective it does feel tennis. And again, that's kind of why we chose it as well. We feel this sort of like overarching court piece. It's just a really nice accompaniment to that. So we subconsciously always try and like end on a banger, and I think we've always done this.
The mad one about this, a lot of stuff, like things get out there, leak a little bit, people kind of already know what's coming. With this, I just genuinely don't think it's going to be like a left side. They're just not going to see it coming.
Nobody knows this is coming. So it's a very proud moment to reveal. We've actually got 2 size exclusive Berns, and it's been amazing to work on these city shoes again. What we've done is we've gone back into our way of storytelling, back into how we celebrate these shoes in these cities. And what a better way to do it in terms of really celebrating the shoes' provenance and the DNA of where they're from. So firstly, Bern. This is inspired off the crest of the city. And I mean, it's also, when you take the sort of German flag of the German brand, I love when that has a sort of a parallel colour sort of story to it as well.
The shoes are brilliant. We'll talk about that in a minute. And one thing I know that's going to happen is people are going to say, oh no, you've not done the original colours, or you're going to take it away from what it is and stuff like that. We're not. We got an opportunity to work on it, and we're excited about that, and we wanted to do it justice by talking about the city and by bringing it back to what it is. These are not just colourways that we've plucked out of thin air. We're looking at something that ties back to the city and ties back to the whole City Series piece, and what we've come out with is really, really strong.
Yeah, I think one thing we always try and do when working on these cities is make sure they feel of a time, of an era, they can sit in the lineage. For me, you could take away everything, put one big timeline on the shoes, and they would feel in keeping if they came out back when the original Berns came out.
The colourways are amazing, materials are spot on. I mean, even just down to the tongue, detailings, just to show you how it's structured, I mean, without this padding in it and stuff like that, it looks OG, do you mean? And that was a key thing for us, do you mean? I think we're really happy with how these colourways have come out, and these may or may not be the other 2 that we work on, but to even work on this shoe, which is iconic, is massive for us.
So this colourway comes from the crest of the city, iconic colours, and the city is also known as the City of Fountains, and when you actually look into it, there's some amazing colours. We felt this really sort of made the shoe feel special, this colour. Some may say we've seen similar colours before on projects we've worked on, but that colour is nothing like what we've used before, and I think the shoe feels really special when you see that one in hand, especially. It feels quite regal, quite royal, and that's exactly what we're trying to reference in the Fountains.
I think it's always tough when you use gold, when you go with gold straps on shoes. It's always tough to get that right kind of gold. Like, I mean, Joburg being a perfect example of that, is that we...
Well, it took 4 samples to
get it right. And I think this time, this didn't take half as many samples, like, but we've got it spot on. I think we took the learnings from Joburg and we got it spot on, the gold on this and the stripes. So they sit against that kind of turquoise background amazingly. Really, really good. And listen, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more stuff coming that we've got back end of the year that Jimmy could even top this as well. So it's going to be a good end to the year.
So what we're going to do next is introduce a new initiative we've got over at Size called Resize. It's a community-based initiative where we shine a light and give a platform to the collectors and enthusiasts throughout our community. Throughout the year, we'll be teaming up with some collectors to give you the chance to win some absolute grails. What you have to do is be signed up to Size launches and become a Size Access member, and for a very small entry fee, you'll be in with a chance of winning one of these products. Every single entry will be going to charity as well. That's the whole point of this initiative, is ultimately to give back. And for the very, very first Resize project, we've said the word grail a lot in the episodes. And genuinely, when I say this, I can only say this once. This is my grail, and I kind of feel strange even talking about it, because I don't have this shoe.
I can see how excited you are. I think you've been talking about this for like 2 days.
I don't have this shoe. So as much as I'm talking about it now, I still feel a bit funny talking about this, because this is the shoe that's forever evaded me in my life.
Yeah.
It's the Air Yeezy 1. This is my favourite shoe of all time.
It's a massive shoe. When you talk about grail, this is a true grail, and I can see how excited you are to kind of pull these. I feel scared of even picking this shoe up. It's massive. It's almost got an aura. This shoe. I mean, it means a lot of things. It started a lot of things. This was the start of the whole Yeezy journey. We know where we are with that now.
At the time where I was, how old I was, what I was doing, where I was in my life, to see Nike work with effectively a non-sportsman work on a product, it almost paved the way of all these projects we see now that are just normal. Like all the brands work with these sort of, whether it's influencers, designers, like this kind of broke the mold for Nike. It was
kind of unheard of. This, like you said, this was the moment. All the other things that come after, I mean, there was things before it, we know that, but nothing that was of this level.
No.
Nothing that was this iconic.
What we like about these resize projects is this is a project size stock back in the day. You had this little gift bag if you got lucky in store that had the cookie and everything in.
The thing what's mad about these is that there's probably people out there that don't know that these exist. There's probably people out there that don't realise that can you actually work with Nike first. Do you mean they created these shoes and this is how the original buzz started, just because of how long he's been with Adidas now and how long that partnership's existed. That doesn't take away how iconic it is and how much it stands for that time. When you think of that era, do you mean like 2009, 2010, you think about music and you think about stuff like that, this is one of the main things you think about.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, what better way to start resize than an ultimate grail that people would love to have in their collection. So for the first resize project, like we said before, it's exclusive to Size Access members and it'll be done through the Size Launches app. It's going to start Monday morning at 8 AM, so make sure you're a Size Access member, make sure you've got the Size Launches app downloaded, and for a very small fee, you can be in with a chance of winning these.
It weirdly feels like we're on the Antiques Roadshow or something here. To us, for pop culture,
Yeah,
this
like
is like an Antiques Roadshow moment for pop culture, isn't it? You mean?
Yeah, it's like when someone brings in like a vintage watch from like the 60s that you just like, I can't even touch it.
That's the same feeling you're getting off this, isn't it?